Here we are looking at a daily chart on Baidu, and Baidu has popped a buy signal on a daily, which made this trend and these pullbacks very strong. We're at a very major top, and the thing about it is, on a shorter handle, we hit a peak over here at 75% on a daily, and those numbers there are in an overbought, not extreme by any stretch of the imagination. However, we're going to be watching the public indicators here at 1.29, which has been ascending in value, and that's given these support levels. It's somewhat of a chop shop because there is an artery channel in here, and let's get that figured out. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to draw a horizontal trend line right about there. And you can see here where the narrower ranges have been, the other artery is going to be down here. That's 136.68 as far as standard public stuff. We'll use our MMT application. Alright, that's the daily chart. Now we're going to get into what we call Baidu. So MMTs, take a screenshot. Here we have right now MMTs. It's a 145 put. And where did Baidu close? Well, let me show you. Baidu closed at 145.50. Made a high, made a low. I'm sorry, and the close was up toward, not at the high, but 147.17. What we're looking at here is a 145 call, okay, for October. And we can clearly see that we're not deflated over here at $7, but we're kind of going across here because Baidu has strong support on that daily, yes. However, the put side is very deflated. You can see that the puts used to be way up here. You can see the prices of these put options. Look at that. Here. Look at that. Here. Look at that level. Now we're down here. And we are in a deflated area. We're going to be looking at this one here. We're also going to be looking at that 145 call. The 145 call, if it drops in value, naturally we're going to go up. So we're going to watch the Baidu trend. I'm going to go into a 140 call right here. And you can see a similar picture here, okay, of this one. This is an in the money call now because it's $7 in the money. But on the other hand, let's take a look at $7 out of the money put. Whoa, my goodness. Don't tell me. Look at this put option. I'm sorry to tell you that you're deflated over here below the market. Now, $7 below the market. They're still deflated, but the premium is it's deflated. It's a deflated, inflated premium as far as where this can go. And this one here, on the other hand, that's the 140 put below the market. This is the 140 call that's deep in the money that had a movement. There's not a lot of yield in these things, but at the right prices with the right volume entry, you can make some money on Baidu. That is a 140 put below the market, and we're going to take a look also what some of the weekly put options, this 145 that expires this calendar week was up here. They don't have a lot because they only open them on Thursday now. And you don't have a lot of range other than that's the weekly 145 that we will be monitoring tomorrow. And let's take a look at the 145 call for the weekly. There isn't much here. You can see the ranges because it's a weekly. It's not a monthly like you've seen on the others. And this is a range. And when they have this kind of range, it's when we start tomorrow that all of the premiums are going to change. So we're going to also take a look up and out of the money as a hedge. What does this 150 call look like on a weekly level? Of course, you're not going to have much range, but this is up and out of the money, and we're going to be watching these. They don't have a lot of yield in the weeklies when they first come out, but they will during the 5-day trading period. So that's a September weekly, 923, and that's a 145 put, and that's a 150 call up and out of the money. But let's take a look at that 150 put that's in the money. It hits a high up here on the weekly level, 923, and it was a low over here of 444. So that's your yields as far as your intraday is going to be, depending on what side of Baidu. Is it selling short down or is it call buying and going higher? We'll use the SMF platform. But once again, it's going to be the full component chain on these. And let's take a look below the market at a 135 put just to see where that is. And the 135 put, oh my goodness, it's deflated. And it's an October one now. And we're deflated, and that's a 135 put, and that's about $12 below the handle. Yes, they are at a deflated zone, so we'll be watching that 135. But also, on the other hand, let's take a look at the other half of that. That's going to be the 135 call, October, and you can see that was inflated. And when you have this is not a weekly, it's an October one, and we're right here in the range. And the thing about it is, these calls that are in the money, if those values go down, then the shorter term yield is going to go up in the 135 and the 140 and the 145. So we're going to be watching the balance ratio between call and put spread on a stock called Baidu, and what kind of ranges that Baidu is going to have. Okay, as far as the intraday range, so you want the intraday range to be wider because that's going to make these calls and these puts respond. Baidu, here is the call and put strategies for 923 and 1022. MMTs, welcome. Page save. So now we have our data and our trade management set for tomorrow. And once again, knowing how to trade options, 135 call, 135 put. We have several of them here. And we will look for the imbalances on Baidu as we move in to the back half of September. That starts in the morning.